Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to episode 160 of Nerd Pod Generations. As always, I am one of your illustrious host, Steve Taylor, along with the always lovely Al Jetsam. Hello, sir.
Hello, friends and enemies.
So sorry about last week, folks. I learned that when you are prescribed medication, it behooves you to take said medication so that you don't have to miss podcasts.
Yes.
Because I forgot to take an allergy medicine. I had a really bad allergy attack last week. And I learned my lesson. I'm fully drugged up right now, feeling good.
Getting doped up and doing dope shit.
So much dope. So this is 160.
Yeah.
Kind of a big deal.
Kind of.
Took us a little while to get there, but we're here.
We're here.
160. We're closing in on 200.
It's coming.
40,
it's coming.
40 episodes won't take very long.
I like the joke idea that I pitched today that I'm now thinking back on, being like, that would be fun, is us build a Lego while we do the podcast for 200. I think that'd be fun.
God, what would we'd have to get something substantial for 200.
Big. Yeah.
A second
and
Rivendell, maybe?
I mean, do you want it at your house?
Oh, God, no. There's no way I'll ever be allowed to get that. But anyways, folks, episode 160, meaning we have 159 episodes of pure gold in our back catalog, so please go listen to them. And where do you find us? You find us at nerdpodgen.com, nerdpodgen.com. Go on there. There are links to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. There's also links to youtube.com, where we do have some clips from some of our older videos.
Episodes are going up live on YouTube again now.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Very nice.
I finally got off my
awesome.
duff, and I have been editing, and I've gotten most of the shows we've gotten since we came back up.
Oh, wow.
And then after that is done, then I'm going to start on clips, and then we'll be fully caught up.
You've been a busy little monkey, haven't you?
When I want to be, which is very rarely.
That's true. But anyways, folks, please go and listen to our stuff, and also you get to see what we look like on our website. And after you're done vomiting, you can send us. There's an email address where you can send us requests, you can send us criticism, you can send us love, send us whatever you want.
The face reveal is always a tenuous thing.
Yeah,
and not all of us look like Chris Pratt.
But I'll be honest, if you've seen our artwork, she did such an amazing job. Kortney Howell did such an amazing job on our artwork that it really does look like me.
It does look like
So when you look at that, it really looks like me. Al, he has a mask on.
I have a full mask on.
Does not look like him.
I am full in the J. Jonah Jameson would hate me camp.
Yes, very much so.
What's he hiding?
Yes.
What's he hiding?
Hiding the beautifulness of Alfred Jetsam. But anyways, folks, please go back and listen to our back catalog, and also tell a friend. You know, we want more people to enjoy this because we enjoy doing it. I want to do a quick shout out. I have a new audio addiction.
Okay.
An artist by the name of Teddy Swims.
Oh.
He is, best way I like to describe him is imagine Post Malone, but he can actually sing.
Okay.
That's what this guy is. He's spectacular. He has his probably most popular song right now is a song called Lose Control. And unbelievable. I love him. I am addicted. I've been listening like crazy. Teddy Swims, highly recommend it. I want to do a quick shout out to Fortnite.
Yep.
They are this current season is a Star Wars season, and I hate Star Wars, but man, they did a great job. And there is a point where my son was flying a TIE fighter with me on top of it, holding Mace Windu's lightsaber.
That's good.
It's pretty awesome.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty awesome.
It's pretty good.
So big shout out to Fortnite. Thank you for that. I want to talk about 2 movies today.
Yeah.
I'm trying to go back and listen to some back catalog movies. And there are 2 comedies that I love to death that I have not listened to in a watched in a very, very long time. Mm-hmm. First one is In and Out, which we kind of discussed this a little bit. You haven't seen it yet, but I highly recommend it, folks. It's early 90s, I want to say, movie. It's
with
Kevin
jeans
Kline.
Like that, definitely early 90s.
Oh, yeah, definitely early 90s. Kevin Kline, Tom Selleck, a Oscar-nominated performance by Joan Cusack, who steals this movie. Absolutely hysterical. Matt Dillon's in it. Why can't I think of Carrie Fisher's mom? Debbie Reynolds.
Oh, wow.
And Wilford Brimley.
Oh, okay.
Play his parents.
The guy who's much younger than you think he would be.
Yes, but he's still had diabetes.
Yeah.
It is a freaking hysterical movie. It's about Matt Dillon is a former student of Kevin Kline. And Kevin Kline's getting ready to get married to Joan Cusack, and everyone's super excited because they thought he'd be a bachelor for life. And his former student, Matt Dillon, is nominated for an Oscar. And when he wins, he gives his acceptance speech. He says, "My teacher was gay." And everyone's like, what the hell? And then the whole movie is him, Kevin Kline, trying to prove to everyone that he's not gay, and then coming to the realization
that maybe
it's
he's
not
gay.
really a spoiler after this year that he probably is. Tom Selleck plays a reporter who comes to town and he's gay, and he doesn't have his mustache.
Oh, how do you have Tom Selleck without a mustache?
Let me tell you.
How do you
awesome.
Wait, whoa. So you had Tom Selleck play a gay man.
Yes.
But shave his mustache.
But let me tell you, he's awesome. It's one of my favorite Tom Selleck roles. The movie itself, absolutely hysterical, has great one-liners. Debbie Reynolds is funny as hell as the mother. Love it. Great movie. Highly recommend it. The second one, though, is one I think you'll have something to talk about. This is my favorite of the Cornetto trilogy. And for those of you who don't know, the Cornetto trilogy is Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg, and Nick Frost made 3 movies, which was Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World Ends. I love all 3 of them. Hot Fuzz is and will always be my favorite, though.
I am going to argue that World's End is a much maligned...
No, I love World's End. Love it.
Yeah.
But Hot Fuzz is so fucking perfect.
It is.
Especially, I remember listening to a podcast back when it came out. There used to be a podcast when I was going to MCC with you called Creative Screenwriter Magazine. And it was one of the first podcasts I ever listened to. And he interviewed the 3 of them for Hot Fuzz. And they said all they would do when they were writing the script is sit around in the studio and watch Steven Seagal movies and like other action movies.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating listening to it. And this movie is so brilliant.
Oh, it is. It's so good.
So brilliant.
It's
and I
fucking
forgot
incredible.
how perfect it was. And now knowing there is once again, these are spoiler freaks. They're old movies now.
Yeah.
One of the greatest cameos in the history of film, Cate Blanchett, is in the beginning of this movie.
The best.
But
the best.
This was the Brad Pitt is the Vanisher before that happened, because they said they got her into the movie, which gave them a bigger budget, but she's in for one scene and she's completely covered and you have no idea it's her.
Yeah, she's wearing a full hazmat suit.
Because
she's part of the forensic team. Yes. At a crime scene.
And she has this... Now, the funny part is the first few times I saw this movie, I did not know this, so I had no idea it was her. But now that I know it, you could tell by the voice and the eyes.
And the eyes. You can definitely tell by the eyes.
Definitely tell by the eyes. But it is... I laughed my ass off through the whole fucking scene.
It's so fucking funny.
It's brilliant. But the movie itself is bloody. It's hysterical. It's got great action scenes.
I can't watch the scene where Dalton gets a church steeple through the bottom of his... That scene is just like... There's something about it that just like gives me the willies. I can't do it.
I agree, except for the fact that he goes, "Oh, this really hurts." It's so great. But it's just so perfectly well done. And when they were discussing the casting... One of the things they talked about is like, who can we get to run the grocery store? We need a Timothy Dalton-like person.
Yeah.
And then they looked at each other and said, why don't we just ask Timothy Dalton? And he fucking said, yeah, of course I'll do it.
Do you know the other great cameo in Hot Fuzz that nobody knows about? Hint, it's on the table in part. There's a hint about it on the table.
Now I'm curious.
The Santa that stabs him in the hand is Peter Jackson.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I never knew.
Yeah.
See, looking at him, learning stuff.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I mean, the cast is insane. It's all British.
Yeah. Well, like
royalty, pretty much.
When the 3 guys that come in to fire him are Martin Freeman, Steve Coogan, and Bill Nighy.
Yeah, that's the best. And I love how the first 2 are kind of trying to be cheeky.
Yeah.
But Bill Nighy comes in and just says, "No, you're being too good."
You're too
good. And the look on his face where he's trying to look evil is awesome.
You're making us all look bad.
Yeah, it's so great. But like I said, I used to watch this movie more often, and I think I just watched it too much. Mm-hmm. And then I had not watched it. God, it has to be at least 5-6 years, if not more, since I've seen it.
Yeah.
And I said, I gotta watch it. Yeah. And that's the problem I have with a lot of my older movies is I know I love them. Mm-hmm. It's just when I go to watch them, I'm like, well, maybe I should watch this new. Anytime you have that thought, watch the older movie.
Yeah.
Because I never regret it. And it just makes me mad on how shitty movies are nowadays by watching some of these older movies and being like, this thing was made on a nothing budget.
Yeah.
And it was fucking spectacular.
The thing that gets me, and we'll talk about this again later when we talk about Andor,
okay,
is I look to movies as an escape. When everything is an allegory for the current state of the world.
Yes.
Which I understand why, but like, I can't do this, man.
Yeah.
I can't do this. So I'm going to go watch, the Guns of Navarone or something. Like, I'm not doing this. Whatever we're doing, I ain't doing this.
Yeah. And I agree. That's the escapism isn't really a thing nowadays.
No, you can't.
Because like the movies that people are like, oh, I escaped in this movie. It's a shit movie. Like when Minecraft movie, and I've talked to a bunch of people that went and saw the re-release of Revenge of the Sith. And I watch it and I'm like, I can't escape in it because the dialogue is shit. And the fucking special effects are kind of shitty. And, you want me to escape into a movie where Leia dies, or not Leia, Amidala dies because she lost the will to live. And Obi-Wan does the lightsaber with the two fingers out little pose and then screams, I have the high ground, Anakin.
I have the high ground, Anakin. No, the best part of that will forever be for me the moment where they're fighting in the control center and they jump up on a table and try and force push each other.
Yeah.
And so you just have these two actors doing this to each other really intently.
And there's like a little reverberation.
And it's like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Can anybody else tell me that this doesn't suck? Because this sucks.
And that's the problem, is we're not getting good enough movies nowadays to where movies that are not good are looked at as like masterpieces.
Yeah.
Because the shit today is just pure dog shit.
No. It's so frustrating because
It's very
every once
frustrating.
in a while you'll find a great movie. The last, I think, true escapism movie that I saw that was recent was probably Flow. Because Flow was the animated cat feature from last year that has no dialogue and is just about animals dealing with a sudden flood. And even that still had some allegorical elements to it of like, oh, there's no humans left and the planet's covered in water. I wonder what happened. But like at the same time, I could still escape into the world that it presented to me. And I feel like everything else is just like, you
I was
can't
gonna
do it.
say your favorite, War of the Rohirrim, was the last one that I was like,
Oh, God.
completely immersed in.
Oh, yes. Oh, I love that movie.
Like
I need
not
to watch that
looking
movie
at
again.
the clock and not wondering how much time was left.
Yeah.
Every other movie has been like that.
I have to say, one of the really interesting things is that I keep hearing your criticism of War of the Rohirrim over and over and over again from other people. It's too much like Two Towers. And
That wasn't my criticism.
I thought that was what your criticism was that you didn't like that he sends away his nephew, and it's just like Éomer getting sent away, and you have the whole thing.
I don't think I had criticism.
I read at the show. You had criticism.
I'm gonna have to listen back. I'm gonna have to listen back because I honestly can't remember.
Yeah.
Like the only thing I remember saying is that there was no happiness in that movie.
Yeah,
It
is
just
a very bleak movie.
A very bleak movie.
It gets happy right at the very end.
But like barely
Yeah,
happy.
yeah.
Like happy for a crack addict who
Yeah.
just put a fire out. Or it's happy-ish.
It's happy-ish. It ends on a good note.
Yeah.
And no, I love that movie, but I've heard a lot of people say that.
Oh no, my only criticism was the callbacks that I didn't think were necessary.
Yeah,
That's my only criticism.
Gandalf and Swarman.
Yeah, but that was minor, 2 second.
But like I've heard similar criticisms of like it's too much like Two Towers. It's so Peter Jackson-y.
It takes place in the same location.
Well, not only that, it's they adapted the story as cleanly as possible.
Yeah.
And I want to defend Walsh.
Yeah.
Fran Walsh. But I want to defend them because a lot of people are like, oh, it's so much like the original Lord of the Rings. And I'm like, what, the story from the book, from the Silmarillion, is exactly the same. I don't know what you want me to do with this. Yeah. Like, they did a pitch perfect job of adapting the story and elevating it. And
but it's like that'd be like watching Jedi and saying it's too much like Empire Strikes Back. So it has the same characters. It's like, well, fucking course, there's going to be similarities.
Yeah,
takes place in the same location in that world, but it's all different characters.
Well, and like I get the complaint that like you literally have the King of Rohan send his nephew away with his army, and that nephew returns. At the dawn of the third day, essentially, not really. In this case, it's like 5 months later. But like he returns on top of the big hill and charges down into Helm's Deep. So I get people being like, it's the same. But at the same time, I'm like, that's take it up with Tolkien, man.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, take it up with Tolkien. I don't know what to tell you. And so, anyway, Hot Fuzz, which is what we were actually talking about.
Yes.
So good.
Yeah.
I love that movie so much. I have one of those personal conflicts, I should say, with it, just because everybody is like, oh, Hot Fuzz, it's so great. I'm like, it is. I really want more people to talk about World's End.
World's End gets shit on, because I'll be honest, I put World's End at number 2.
Yeah.
Shaun of the Dead at number 3.
I fucking love World's End.
Is spectacular.
World's End is so good and so funny, and there's so many great lines in it all the way through. I still say that should be a band name. Write that down. And just like, this is like a lion eating hummus. I fucking love this movie. It's so good. And like the fact that like Cornetto, like all the Cornetto movies, they set up the entire plot within the first 5 minutes.
Yep.
And you're like, so this is what the entire movie is going to be. It's just these events happening again later. I love it. I wish Edgar Wright would go back to this kind of thing.
Dude, I wish the three of them would do another movie together. Because like even though he wasn't involved when Simon Pegg and Nick Frost did Paul together, I love that movie.
That's also a great movie.
I want that chemistry again, and we need, like, what is Edgar Wright doing right now?
I don't know.
It's like, dude, you should.
He's probably writing. He's been working on a bunch of documentaries. I know that.
Yeah.
He has like a bunch of small artists that he loves that nobody knows about, and so he's doing documentaries about them, which is like great. That's great.
That is great.
But like at the same time, if you're gonna make another movie, please make a comedy. Please make a funny comedy.
Those two.
Yeah.
Like, I know that they wanted to keep it in a trilogy, but it's like.
Well, and it doesn't have to be part of the Cornetto trilogy. It can still be something else. It doesn't have to have that same kind of framing.
Exactly.
You can still be creative and go outside. Like, Paul does not have the same kind of framing as the Cornetto trilogy. The type of humor is different. The casting is different. The storytelling is very different. So it
is one of the nerdiest movies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
With the one-liners and stuff.
Yeah.
Very nerdy.
Oh, yeah. Well, my favorite line from Paul is still from Bill Hader when he's racing the Kristen Wiig's dad down the highway. And Kristen Wiig's dad says, "I'm on a journey from God." And Bill Hader is trying to get him to leave. Yes. And he's like, "No, I'm on a journey from God." "Tell him you failed." Bam! Oh, it's so good.
and a shout out. Thank you for the shout out to Bill Hader. I love Bill Hader.
I love Bill Hader.
He is great.
He delivers one of the hardest lines with such earnestness. It's him and the guy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Yes. And they're just idiots throughout the entire movie. And then he delivers this hard as hell line right at the end. And you're like, what the fuck was that?
And still throughout the movie, one of my favorite running lines throughout that movie is, 3 tits? Nice. Yeah, nice. They say that like 4 times and I laugh every fucking time.
I love that movie.
Yeah, but yeah, so I love... I know I'm just keep gushing about it, but yeah, Hot Fuzz is... And, I mean, when you have a movie with Oscar winner Olivia Colman as the office whore...
Wearing fake tits.
It's the funniest.
It's so fun. And all of her dialogue is just about having sex with people. Yeah. That's all of her dialogue.
It's so fucking dirty.
The one thing that I look back on and I have kind of mixed feelings about is, spoilers, the ending where Danny dies and then doesn't die. And it's just kind of like, it's weird because everything is done. And then suddenly there's one last thing and the mine and the police station explodes and Danny seemingly dies. You have the whole, he's holding Danny in his arms, goes up and like, I get it because it's part of the 80s troping, right? Yes. I get it. But at the same time, it felt like we were done.
Yeah.
And then suddenly this happens and you're like, oh, and then it's immediately undone. You're
like you said, this was an 80s ending of an action movie.
Yeah.
And it also was what most 80s movies were, where you have a buddy cop thing. The love story is the 2 guys.
Yeah.
And when you think one lost the other one, it's like heartbreaking until you realize, oh, they're together forever now.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so sweet.
No, I love that movie. I love that movie
shout
so
out
much.
to both In and Out and Hot Fuzz. I highly recommend anyone who has the opportunity, rent them, buy them, whatever. You will not regret it.
I can almost guarantee you can find them on some streaming platform somewhere.
Yeah, they gotta be somewhere.
It's got, I mean, like In or Out might be on like a Tubi or something.
I think it's on Max, actually.
It wouldn't be surprised. It could be. It's always funny when you look up where something is streaming. Yeah. And you're like, oh, this probably is streaming somewhere, and it's not. And then you look up, Destination 5 or whatever the
Final
Destination 5 or something, and it's on like 3 platforms. And you're
like when I've been looking around for when I was sick and I was looking for Peter Jackson's Meet the Feebles. It was streaming for free on YouTube.
Oh, there you go.
So there was little commercials every now and then, but I watched Meet the Feebles when I was sick.
Lucky you.
Oh, dude, that movie's awesome. It's so fucked up, but it's awesome. Every time you watch it, you're like, this guy directed Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
This guy got it all out of his system in one
Yes,
go.
he did.
He got it all out, and he walked away from that experience, and he said, well, I'm never doing that again.
No, never doing that again. Well, that's all I got, my friend.
So I'm going to take your Edgar Wright, Nick Frost, Simon Pegg torch, and I'm going to carry it. Because one of the things that we did was we watched The Adventures of Tintin. Now, I've talked about this on the show before. I'm going to talk about it again. Because rewatching it this time, it was one of those experiences where I watched about 2/3 of it and then fell asleep. And Kelly was with me the next day. And I was like, oh, do you want to finish this movie with me? And she's like, I've never watched it. And I was like, oh, we're going to rewatch it from the beginning. So I got to watch the whole thing all over again. God, that's a good movie.
It's Spielberg and Peter Jackson, right?
It's Spielberg and Peter Jackson produced it. Spielberg directed it. Stephen Moffat and Edgar Wright wrote it.
Yep. And Andy Serkis has a major part in it.
Andy Serkis is Captain Haddock,
Haddock, that's right.
The drunk sea captain. Jamie Bell is Tintin. And Nick Frost and Edgar Wright are the two dopey Interpol agents that keep coming around. And it's just really brilliantly directed.
I still haven't seen it.
There's so many sequences in it that you could never do in real life.
Yeah.
And it is a testament to why animation is the highest form of cinema. Because there's an entire sequence in... when does it start? I would say it starts around the time that they get shipwrecked.
Yeah.
And it goes through to just about the end of the movie. And the stuff that happens in that period of the film is just unlike anything you've ever seen. And it's like, it's not just one thing where it's like, oh, we're going to have, someone's reflection in, someone else's glasses. So it starts as a shot and it starts pulling out and you notice that the shot is someone else's glasses and it pulls out further in it. But it does that like on several levels, several layers, has an incredible oneer where you're just like, what the fuck? I'm overwhelmed by what I'm watching right now because you would never be able to do it. There's a shot, and admittedly, it's one of those things where you're like, well, that can never happen. But there's a pirate battle where one of the ships gets entangled and swings over the deck of the other ship. The entire ship swings over the deck of the other ship while it's on fire. And it's like... the things that Spielberg was able to do and just run with because he had no limitations. It's such a brilliant film, and I can't speak highly enough of it. It's so funny. It is the Indiana Jones movie that never was. I truly think it's the fourth Indiana Jones movie. And
I think they're making another Tintin right now too, right?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
So.
But
I think I heard Andy Serkis talking about they're doing more Tintin.
I would be down for it as long as it has the same creative gusto as this one, because like on top of everything else, the animation is so crisp. It is what's the opposite of the uncanny valley, where like you're looking at something and you're like, it's a cartoon, it's real, it's a cartoon, it's real, it's a cartoon, it's real. And it's like,
which makes sense with Spielberg. I can't imagine him doing anything.
No, exactly. But like some of the faces, like the movie opens with Tintin getting his caricature drawn, which is how like they reveal like, oh, this is the caricature of Tintin, and then we see Tintin in the movie. The guy drawing the caricature of him looks like a real person. He doesn't look like some CGI character. He looks like a real person. And then, other things like Captain Haddock has a gigantic nose because he's a drunk, and, other characterizations from the Tintin comics and what have you. But it's so smart and so funny. Daniel Craig plays an excellent villain.
Oh, nice.
It's the one big major complaint that me and Kelly had walking away from it is that there are 2 female characters with spoken dialogue in the entire movie, and it's just like, it is based on an old property, it's based on a very old property. It takes place in the 1920s. It's based on a Belgian cartoonist, and it I get it, but at the same time you also kind of sit here and be like, it would be nice to have literally any female characters in this movie, but that being said,
they stuck to the canon, though.
They did stick to the canon, and which is something that we talk a lot about. And I just love it. I just absolutely loved it.
Going on my list.
It's so good. I did want to do a quick hit on My Hero Academia.
Oh yeah.
I'm still working my way through that. I'm still loving it. It's still great. The only thing that came up that I was like, now you and me, we're going to have a conversation is they brought up this whole principle of if you're a underage person training to be a hero, but you don't have a quote unquote license yet, and you go out and do hero things for people in danger, including saving people or evacuating people, you're as bad as the villains that you're fighting. That was my reaction, was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's kind of like the Harry Potter don't use underage magic thing.
Yeah, I was like, what? This is like the first time that you and I have solidly disagreed on something.
That's weird.
That is a crazy statement to make. Someone's in danger and needs to be saved, but because you don't have an official license, you can't step in and save them.
That's weird.
That's crazy.
That is too
That's
weird.
absolutely bonkers, because it happens because one of their classmates gets kidnapped and they want to go and try and rescue him. And one of the students is like, but that would make you as bad as the villains. And I'm like, are you out of your mind?
This doesn't make any sense.
What in the world are you talking about? So it was the only point of consternation with me in the show so far. I'm very much enjoying it. Wanted to wrap up by talking about Star Wars. It was just May the 4th. And so I wanted to talk about Star Wars because we just rewatched it.
The OG.
The OG. The way I described it to Kelly, because we're going into Andor after this, is it was nice to go over to Star Wars' house and actually have Star Wars want to hang out and talk about the old times and reminisce and not say, hey, fuck you for caring, or hey, I'm turning this whole thing into a Japanese sauna. What do you think? And you're just like, can we just do Star Wars? Can this not be like a whole thing with you every time we show up? So it was really nice to go over to Star Wars' house and just sit and reminisce about the old time. This last reviewing made me realize a lot of things about the series. Most prominently that George really screwed it up by putting the Vader reveal in the movie, in Empire. Like this, I always think that Star Wars' canon was busted when the prequels came out. That was when the canon truly broke. No. The canon broke when George made Vader Luke's father, because that means you have a hard cap at 18. George tells us Luke is 18. Like, we know how old Luke is. That means that there's a hard cap on how long ago Luke was born.
Yeah.
Which means that there's a hard cap on how long ago Vader knocked up Padme.
Yeah.
And now all of these great ideas that surround everything are put on this hard 20-year clock.
Yeah.
That is not long enough. 20 years ago was 2005.
Yeah.
Okay? That was not long enough ago for us to be like, I fully forgot that there were popes back in the day.
But we've talked about this. The number one problem Star Wars has is their timelines are as bad as Marvel's.
But that's what I'm saying, is that I always thought that that was something that began with the prequels. I always looked at New George and I said, New George, you're going around ruining old George's things. No, old George kind of stepped on it when he gave us one of the greatest reveals in cinematic history, which also just happens to kind of shatter the timeline of events. I love Han Solo, and it's Harrison Ford in part.
Well, that's the thing. I would beg that anyone else reading that dialogue, because if you think about the dialogue in the first movie, it's not good. And even the actors have said, we have no fucking idea what we were saying. But Harrison Ford is so fucking charismatic.
Yeah.
That it's tough.
And as the series goes on, he gets even better as a character.
Oh, yeah.
He has the best arc of anybody in the series, in my opinion. I mean, that's a big stance to take.
Yeah.
But I just love that he begins truly as a scoundrel, as just a pretty awful human being, all things considered. And then as the movie goes on, he says things that I wish men nowadays took to heart. I want to take some of these incel type guys aside and be like, you love Han Solo, right? Then follow Han Solo's fucking example.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't do everything right, but he does have respect for the people he cares about.
Yes.
And I think that's huge and goes unnoticed. I think, you look at Han And in the first movie, he doesn't really have any feelings for Leia. His feelings for Leia are, this is an opportunity for me to make money. But even once he meets her, he's not like head over heels for her. He finds her very obnoxious and very hoity-toity. And also he's like, I'm risking my life for this. Why are we doing this? This sucks. No reward is worth this. When we get to Hoth, he's trying to convince Leia she does like him. And he's doing it not just because he is like a player who's trying to like convince a girl that she likes him. He really likes her.
Yeah.
And he wants her to admit that she likes him back, which is why he gets so upset when she keeps on putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. How do we see this? When he's on the asteroid with her and she's finagling with the wires and she hurts herself, and he comes over and he's teasing her and she says, knock it off with that Your Highness stuff. And he's like, okay, Leia. He doesn't fight her on it. He doesn't do anything. He is respectful. He is understanding. He listens. And then in Jedi, after Luke goes off, Han is like, is something going on with Luke and Leia? I don't know. I'm jealous. And he storms off. And then he comes back and he sees Leia's in distress. And he says the 5 words I think every guy should have at their disposal. 5 words? 4 words. What can I do?
Yes.
That's that. That is how men should be. Yes. That is how men should behave. Is even in moments where your own feelings are hurt and you're frustrated about what's happening, the 4 words that should be coming out of your mouth are, what can I do?
Yep. And you're talking about something now that I've been thinking about this. I don't think about Star Wars a lot, but I've been thinking about it more recently. I wish they would make an animated series that takes place between episode 4 and episode 5.
Yes, I thought about this too.
Because the stories that they kind of hint about and the adventures they've gone on in between the 2 movies, but also there's obviously been some kind of a bonding between Han and Leia.
And Han and Luke.
And Han and Luke.
Where they are really good friends by the beginning of Hoth.
I want to see that.
Yeah.
I want to see what those adventures were. And you can't do live action.
No.
It has to be fucking animated.
Have it be animated. It would be so great.
Yes.
I would be so down for it. It would make my little nerd heart sing.
Most of them are animated. There's a new animated show. Why can't I think of the name of it? It takes place with Dooku's Padawan from the Clone Wars. It's a new animated series on Disney Plus, and I can't think of it, but it's fucking awesome.
I'm not sure.
I'm going to look it up real quick.
Yeah. But anyway, this was just a reminder of how much I love Star Wars, and just like the good times of Star Wars. Like even something like Jedi, which is insanely flawed in terms of its narrative. One of the things that came up on this run was that me and Kelly were talking about my favorite Star Wars, and she was like, Jedi's your favorite, right? And I'm like, well, so here's the thing. Jedi is the one that fills my heart with the most joy. But if we go over to the board and we subtract the nerd quotient or the nostalgia quotient from Jedi, the resulting score is not great.
Yeah.
If we take Empire and we subtract the nostalgia quotient from Empire, the score is way higher as far as just pure filmmaking and writing. And so in my heart, Jedi is probably my favorite. But in reality, I have to give it to Empire because it's just a better movie. If you take all of the nostalgia I have for Jedi away and you strip all that out, then you still have a great movie in Empire.
See, and I know I'm going to get a lot of backlash from nerds, but I still say the greatest lightsaber battle was at the end of Jedi.
It's really good.
With Luke and Vader.
Yeah.
Because of everything that's involved in it.
Yeah.
And the actual
all the emotion.
Fighting is amazing.
Yeah.
I still think that's the best one. It's called Tales of the Underworld.
Oh, okay.
And each episode are only like 16, 18 minutes long, so they're not long episodes.
You know, but those are the best Star Wars animated series.
So fucking good. It's so good.
There was a time back, I think it's Genji, I can't remember his name, but the guy that did Samurai Jack did an entire series of short Star Wars shorts, like 7 to 10 minutes long.
I think I
for
remember
Toonami.
Too. Yeah.
And they were amazing. Yeah. They were so good.
But I highly recommend this. It's dark and it's violent and it's pretty fucking good.
Yeah. No, I might check that out. I can get into that. Do you want to talk about trailers really quick before we pivot into
Super quick
Andor?
Before Andor.
Mostly we just have 4 trailers to talk about.
Yes.
Honey Don't is the new Coen brother, no longer brothers, but brother
Yeah.
film, which I think looks Very fun. Has a great cast.
Looks good. I'm very interested. I'll be honest, and I know I'm on the outskirts with most people on this. Not the biggest Aubrey Plaza fan.
Yeah.
So for her to be a major part in this, but I do love the rest of the cast.
I think the writing for her character is going to suit her personality well.
I hope so.
And so...
Because I'm done with the snarky Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah.
They've done that to death.
Have you ever seen Legion? Legion is the non-X-Men X-Men show that was on FX.
No.
And it's Charles Xavier's son. And played by...
So I think it was wrong with the movie of Paul Bettany, because I've seen
No. Not Angels Descending.
Yeah.
No. No, this is Dan Stevens.
Okay.
And it's a great show. I love that show. It's amazing. But Aubrey Plaza is in it, and she plays this like character where you're not sure if she's real or fake, and who they actually are, who they pretend to be.
Interesting.
She is so creepy in that show, and plays against type in a Aubrey Plaza way, while still playing very against type. I would highly recommend, especially in season 2. It gets weird and creepy, and I'm
gonna have to.
But so I am excited for Honey Don't.
Yes,
I think that looks really great. I
love Chris Evans in a comedy role. He's brilliant.
It looks so funny for that, and just like there looks to be a lot of that like Coen Brothers mayhem violence.
Yes,
of like that scene where the guy is getting pulled by a car and slams into a lamppost. You're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it looks rough.
But I am very excited for it. I think Margaret Qualley, I almost called her Margot Qualley. Margaret Qualley is great. I'm impressed at how much work she's gotten. I didn't realize she was Audrey McDowell's daughter.
Wait, Andy McDowell?
Andy McDowell.
That's her daughter?
That's her daughter.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. So that's where she comes from.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Good lineage.
But that looks really good. I'm very curious. It's always a kind of a gut run with Coen Brother movies where you're like, is this going to be one of the good ones, or is this going to be one of the not so good ones?
I don't know. There's very few that I would say not so good.
I definitely remember going into Hail Caesar being like, this is going to be great.
Okay, that does.
And walking out of Hail Caesar
I
being
will
like,
give you that. And then what's the...
Hudsucker Proxy gives me the same of like, I don't know, man. This is not what I wanted it to be.
Did they do Burn After Reading?
They did do Burn After Reading.
That was another one. That you're like...
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so those three, I'll give you those three.
Exactly. Sometimes it happens. You know, like, I love Raising Arizona. And I love Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah.
And
Big Lebowski.
I love Big Lebowski. I think No Country for Old Men is pretty good, but I deeply disagree with their decision to murder Josh Brolin off camera.
Yeah,
that was dumb. That was fucking dumb.
That movie still gave us, in my humble opinion, the greatest villain in history.
Oh, definitely, movies. Anton Chigurh.
He is spectacular.
He's so good.
Yeah,
I really like Woody Harrelson in that movie. I think Woody Harrelson has a very thankless but extremely fun role in that movie.
Yep.
But don't murder people off screen that are integral to the plot.
Especially a main character.
Come on, it's the main character of the story gets killed off screen. What are we doing?
Yeah,
what's actually happening? We'll get to something similar to that with Andor.
Well, yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to talk about was the 2 Predator pieces that are coming out, Predator Badlands and Predator of Predators, which are 2 Predator movies. Predator of Predators is coming out in June on Hulu,
animated film.
And that's an animated film about predators hunting people at different time periods.
Which
looks fucking cool.
Fucking amazing.
It looks so fucking cool.
Out of the 2, once again, I still am holding out hope on the other one, but out of the 2, this one had me completely salivating.
Oh, look, the moment you see the guy get speared through his
plane?
Yes. Oh my god.
And then pulled through the back of the plane and he's flying?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Oh god, this is going to be fun.
That looks so violent.
I'm looking forward to the Viking storyline already. Yes. That's going to be dope. The samurai storyline looks great. I can't wait. This is going to be great. This is going to be great. And then you have Predator Badlands, which I'm very curious about.
I am too.
It looks like it's the story of a predator coming up in his own right and going through whatever trials the predators send their young through. And then Elle Fanning is also there.
Yeah.
And so I'm very curious. I'm optimistic, but I also understand why people might be a little nervous about this one.
The thing that I love about, to me, of course, the best 2 Predators, in my opinion, is One
and Prey.
Those 2 movies, I think what made them so successful for me is they really toned down the special effects. Mm-hmm. It was more just the story of the hunt.
It was character focused.
Where this one, had a lot of flashes in it. So
Yeah.
that's what's making me wondering, are they getting back to that recipe, which I didn't quite love.
Yeah.
Even though the one with Adrian Brody, which is Predators. I did enjoy that one. But that one was like on the borderline.
Yeah.
And then The Predator, I did not like it all.
No, The Predator broke the canon.
It was terrible.
It just went against a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
It did that whole autism as a superpower thing.
Yeah,
and
and then the Iron Man suit and all. And like, it was dumb.
The what was it? There was like some super dog predator thing.
Yeah.
But
that's what I'm kind of nervous about. It's like the ones I like are not flashy. The ones that I have problems with are too special effects heavy.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping this is just that first trailer. I'm just reading it wrong, but
what I'm really, really hoping for with this is that this is a movie that doesn't have any dialogue until Elle Fanning shows up like a third of the way through the movie, and then Elle Fanning dies 2/3 of the way through the movie, and then there's no dialogue again for the last half of the movie. There's dialogue in the sense that they're screaming and animals crying, but there's no dialogue in the sense of like a character sitting down and telling us their life story.
Yeah.
And so I hope that this is in that way of like similar to Prey, kind of this hands-off story of just this character-driven. We're looking at the essential moments of this story and not bogging it down in this, and this.
Gotcha.
And so
I agree.
We'll see. We'll see what it does.
Hopefully.
Last one to hit is Peacemaker, Season 2, which looks fun.
It does. I'm a little.
So they did this thing that made us both go a little, oh boy, where the trailer is great, and then at the very end you find out that he has a door to an alternate universe, and you're like, okay. All right. Because I had that question because we've seen Shazam show up in Peacemaker.
Yes.
And then in the Season 2 trailer, he's
Guy
auditioning
Gardner.
for the Superman Justice League.
Yes.
We know those are not the same universe.
Well, supposedly this Season 2 is the universe.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is that why there's a door to this multiverse? Is this one of
I
those
see what
like
you're saying.
it's not the Peacemaker from last season? It's like the sister universe of that Peacemaker, where like he had jam on his toast that morning, and so something different kind of happened, and you have essentially the same Peacemaker, but it takes place in an entirely different universe. And so I'll be very curious to see. Man, that wig is not doing any favors in this trailer.
I hate that wig so fucking much.
The Guy Gardner wig sucks.
It's terrible.
It's really bad.
Not everything has to be that comic accurate.
And Sean Gunn doesn't need to be in everything you make. He does not need to be in everything you make.
Because even Clint Howard in the Ron Howard movies has like small cameos.
Yeah.
He's not a major part.
He's not a speaking role in every fucking movie where he's going to have like 10 minutes just to himself.
Yeah.
No, I looked at that and I did kind of roll my eyes in a lot of ways of like, I don't know, man.
But you know me. It all is going to revolve around what does Vigilante do?
Yes.
If they write Vigilante the same as the first season, I'll love it.
I will also say Vigilante is a call at Marvel for the Bullseye costume. Because that costume looked like shit.
Yeah.
Vigilante's costume, which isn't terribly different,
awesome.
looks dope as
so fucking
hell.
awesome.
And it's just simple things. It's the visor. It's the logos. It's the colors.
Yep.
It's making sure that you have a little flair to it. Bullseye's costume had no flair whatsoever.
And every time I hear Vigilante talk, all I could think about is your issues with Taskmaster. And it's like, that's Vigilante pretty much.
Yeah.
If just have him be able to fight like people, and there you go.
Yeah.
There's your Taskmaster.
Exactly. No, it's mind-boggling to me that Marvel is screwed up. While we have this moment, I do want to address that there's a quote-unquote new Avengers, and I reject this new Avengers.
It's so fucking
because
stupid.
This is stupid. This is fucking dumb.
I'm so done with the MCU.
What are we doing?
I'm so fucking done.
Disney and Marvel have so fully lost the plot. Now, granted, I haven't seen Thunderbolts, so this is all secondhand stuff. But that's what this is supposed to be.
Yeah,
that's what this is supposed to be.
It's officially not called Thunderbolts anymore.
Yeah, this is a call to action for a second week run.
Yeah,
this is Disney's solution to the Marvel fall off was to say, "Oh, it's a new movie. Now it's the new Avengers. Come see it."
But even that, it got a little bump, but then it went right back down.
No, of course not. Yeah. The whole thing just makes me so frustrated because it's a dishonor to us as fans.
Yeah.
Which, throw it on the pile, baby. We got 1 million of those now. But this also doesn't make me want to see Thunderbolts. It makes me not want to see Thunderbolts. And I look at this and I'm just left being like, do you have a plan? This is how you're approaching things still. It reminds me of the end of She-Hulk, where it's like, under better circumstances, this could have been really good.
Yeah.
But instead, the way that you did it was so clumsy and stupid and self-serving.
Yeah.
I can't with this.
And I gotta say, this also pisses me off. Marvel's reaction to Thunderbolts really was a slap in the face to Anthony Mackie, because they were talking about how Thunderbolts was like a return to form with some of the underperforming movies. Its opening weekend was less than Captain America Brave New World.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're
talking
saying
about?
Anthony Mackie did worse when he actually didn't. And
he did a better job than you did.
Yeah.
The whole thing just makes no sense to me in terms of
irritated.
Why Marvel has taken this route, why Marvel thinks that this is going to work.
Yeah.
You know, it reminds me of how, like, this is going to be how everything is tied together for Doomsday.
Yeah.
And it's just, which, again, I also don't like as a name. There's a fairly famous comic book character already named Doomsday.
Yeah.
So I get what you're doing. Oh, wow. Avengers Doomsday. I wonder who the villain is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, you can't do any better than this. You can't, like, at least reference a storyline or something.
I am going to say this now.
And not like a recent storyline.
The next Avengers movie is going to be one of the worst seizure-inducing, flashy things. Well, you sent that quote that we may or may not be true. Mm-hmm. Was Anthony or Joe Russo? One of them said they want to make it for the TikTok generation.
Yeah.
And make it like quick action scenes. And
we
stuff.
We don't have confirmation that either the Russos said that, but that was what I saw.
Yeah.
One of them had said
which I can't say that wasn't from them, because if you watch Electric State,
I was just about to say
that's what it was.
That was what Electric State was.
Absolutely.
And that was their approach to Electric State. And I don't know why they would change their approach to this. Disney
Exactly.
is looking for something that is going to work better. How do we work better? Well, we're going to appeal to a new generation of kids. We're going to appeal to Gen Alpha instead of Gen Z. Okay, well, how are we going to do that? Oh, we're going to have no ability to focus on anything. The attention span of a gnat.
Yeah.
And we're not going to have a single real costume on set.
Yeah.
This is the kind of thing that would make Ian McKellen cry.
And I'm glad you brought him up, because that's one of the problems with the way they're doing these movies. You're making movies, but you're not making memorable movies.
No.
Because most of these movies, no one's going to give a shit about in a couple years.
No.
Where Lord of the Rings is 25 years later, and people still adore those movies because they're made with love and care and
attention,
and focus and attention to detail, and not just throwing shit at the screen.
Well, and it's made with real costumes.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you, when I was watching Tintin, the fact that there wasn't a bleed between the 2 points, everything is animated. So there's not a moment where you're like, that's real, that's CGI. Disney is all bleed now. Yeah. It's all bleed.
Badly, too.
And it's just like, everything is too real or so fake.
Yeah.
And I want to settle with Marvel, honestly. I can't hold myself to this because of this show, as well as other things. I don't really want to watch any other Marvel content until they start making the goddamn costumes. I am so sick of seeing behind-the-scenes stuff where you see Tom Holland in a mocap suit and Mark Ruffalo in a mocap suit and fucking Brie Larson in a mocap suit. Make the fucking costume. Yeah. How fucking hard is it to make a goddamn costume? Because the floating head is so bad. It's so bad. It's been bad since Civil War, and it's never gotten better. So you got to knock this shit right the fuck out.
And especially since they love doing that thing where they take their helmets off so people can see who it is.
Yeah.
It only stands out more.
It's so bad.
It really
so either do
atrocious.
all animation, if it's going to be that level of CGI, just do full animation for the whole thing, or make the fucking costume and have it be a realistic costume.
Yeah.
You know, that's not the craziest thing anybody's ever wanted, is for it to be a realistic costume that looks good, that in real life looks like a real costume. Yeah. You know?
And that's the thing, is a lot of people have been giving shit to the new Superman movie, but it's like, at least it's a real costume.
Yeah.
He's actually wearing a Superman costume.
Yeah. And Mr. Terrific looks terrific.
Oh, he looks awesome.
Holy shit, Mr. Terrific looks good.
Yeah.
For as bad as Guy Gardner looks, Mr. Terrific looks fucking great. Yeah. Holy shit. You want to talk about something that actually makes me excited to see that movie? It's only Mr. Terrific. It's fully Mr. Terrific shaped.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that's like, well, I kind of want to see Rachel Brosnahan play Lois Lane. But really, it's Mr. Terrific.
Terrific.
I'm going to see Mr. Terrific in this movie.
No, I agree. I absolutely agree.
So anyway.
All right, it's time, folks.
It's time. We got a 6-episode run, Kids and Kids.
By what we've been talking about, the end of this conversation might have a different take from both of us.
I'm really curious to see where you come down on this.
Okay. So we're talking about Andor. Let's break it down into
We're going to do 4 through 6 and then 7 through 9.
So 4 through 6, this is a low bar.
Yes.
I think 4 through 6 were better than the first 3.
Yes.
But they were still so fucking boring that I fell asleep during all 3 of them and had to rewatch them.
I will disagree.
I liked them.
I will disagree slightly.
Okay.
I think that they were a big step up from the first 3 episodes.
Big step up.
Again, the lowest bar. But this felt more like an actual story from Andor. To the point where I got really connected to the show and really excited.
Well, no, and when I say that, I'm not saying that I wasn't connected to the stories in this 3 episode arc. They just, the pacing was so
they do take their time,
slow, which I don't mind taking time, but man, there were some times where it's like you got to transition to something a little faster, like you're holding something a little too much.
The stuff with Bix I like, but again, it does drag.
Yes.
The stuff with Gorman is so fascinating and multi-layered.
Yes.
So
it's much better in this 3 than the first 3.
I do really like that. I do really like that.
The problem I have with the Bix part is they're giving her every social issue you can have. She had first domestic abuse, sexual abuse. Then she had substance abuse, abandonment issues, and clinical depression. It's like, Jesus, this poor woman has every problem.
She's going to develop agoraphobia soon. Like
agoraphobia.
But like, I agree with you. They gave Bix so many things, and it's
she's
like,
an awesome character.
Do one of these things.
Yeah,
you don't need to do all of them. She was already tortured last season. She doesn't need all of the everything. If you want to do torture and then substance abuse, that absolutely we can make that avenue. But to do torture, sexual assault, substance abuse, abandonment, a loss of identity. It's like, Jesus Christ, this is so much.
And honestly, all they need to do is take away one. Like, even
just
take away the drug use.
I would say take away the sexual assault, because neither of us liked it, and I don't think it lended to anything. So you now have an avenue open to allow yourself to do drug use. You could even have her be given the drugs by the farmers on that planet.
Oh, that's true.
And that's how she got into it. She was like, I can't sleep, and the mom was like, well, this is what we use on the babies.
The drug thing. Did you ever see the movie Alien Nation?
No.
Great movie with Mandy Patinkin and Sonny from The Godfather. Oh, I can't think of his name.
Oh, Scott Conn.
No, James Conn.
James Conn. I thought you were talking about the other
aliens
guy.
Came to Earth, and then they become part of society, and then you have James Conn, who hates aliens, and Mandy Patinkin, who is an alien, have to work together to solve a drug ring, and the drug is the aliens lick it, and it looks exactly like the shit she takes. And I'm looking at it like, that's Alien fucking Nation. I know the movie's 30 years old, no one's seen it in forever, but that's the fucking drug they're taking.
No, I again, if you do less is more in this situation, the stuff with Andor and I almost said Luthen. Luthen is interesting.
It is.
It's very interesting. It did feel a little like, I'm not entirely sure that I follow everything that's happening here, but I get it. I love when Andor goes to Luthen's museum and Luthen is trying to put on the show for any cameras, and Andor's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
And I think that's the thing that I appreciated the most about these last 6 episodes is you're finally focusing on Andor again.
Yeah.
And like when he goes to Gore in disguise is awesome.
That moment when he's talking to the revolutionaries and he's like, this is your plan?
This is your fucking plan?
This is your fucking plan? Are you kidding me? No, we cannot get involved in this.
Yeah.
No.
Dude, so fucking good.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's what I've been really craving. Because in the first 3, you see Andor, but it's either he's being held hostage by fucking idiots. Or you have that great first scene where he steals the ship, and that's it.
And that's it. That was what we were given. And we're going to get back to the fucking idiots when we get to the end of episode 9, too. Yeah. No, I really like these 3 episodes. They really brought me back into the fold because I agree with you. There are some elements that are just overdone. But if you can make it so I don't hate Cyril Karn and think that his storyline is actually interesting, that's incredible. That is an incredible move.
I agree. I like the storyline better. I still was not in love with the character.
Oh, I don't love the character, but at
hated him.
least he's interesting now.
Yes, and I love how they wove in, like, he gets this new promotion, and you could tell he just had the biggest heart on walking in there as this supervisor. And loved it. And then, when he then all of a sudden is like the undercover guy in the rebellion, and he's like,
I love that scene where he's talking to his mom. And the resistance is listening to his phone calls to see if he's someone that can help them. Like, I really like the build of this.
Yeah.
We'll get to some of my problems with it once we get to episode 8, but I really like the build of it. The whole thing drew me right back in. After those first 3 episodes of just boring, hate-filled garbage, I heard one person argue that the stuff with Mon Mothma's wedding frames her as this very well-to-do rich person that wants to help but doesn't know how. Okay, great. Why did that take 3 episodes?
And that's the thing. To show her the difference between her and the people fighting her rebellion, you see that at the end of episode 9 in a much better way.
Much better light.
And it's like, that is what you could have done in 3 minutes instead of taking 3 episodes with this fucking wedding that makes no difference.
Stupid wedding.
Because they don't even mention the fact that, spoiler going to end of episode 9, that she's leaving her family behind.
Yeah.
They never fucking mention her family again.
I said this last time, and I'm going to say it again. We will never see Perrin or her daughter ever again.
No.
Ever again. And why did we spend so much time with them? Why in the world did we spend all this fucking time with them?
And the way looking back at it now, it seems to me like the only thing they were doing in those episodes was showing the growing divide between her and Luthen.
Yeah.
And it's like, because that you really see at the last 3.
And the way that they really don't know how to trust each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you can cut, like, I can see, like, that part of it.
Yeah.
Because I do admit these last 3 made me go back and think about the first 3 more. The whole idiots on the planet, fuck that whole scene.
Oh my God, I'm so mad about that. It's never going to have, there's no payoff. There was no point to it. I really want to sit down with the creators behind this and be like, no, but you need to explain to me, what was this about? Was this just an allegory done poorly? What was the thinking here? Because there's no excuse for it.
None whatsoever.
And the further we get into the show, the worse those scenes look.
Yeah.
Every moment further into this show, anytime where you're like, man, I wish we had more time to talk about that. Man, I wish we had more time to explore that. Every single moment in every episode from here on out is marred by this stupid bullshit, which never pays off and never comes up again. Yeah. The only time that anything even remotely similar happens is we follow Willman to Saw Gerrera's hideout.
Yes,
and I think one of the idiots from that planet was the guy that was going to betray them.
Yes.
Who was being trained to run the engines. That's it!
That's it.
That guy gets killed, and then that's it.
And I'll even admit, I know they needed to have a scene with Saw Gerrera just because to link him. That whole part, I don't think was necessary.
I like it in concept. It was fine enough. I didn't have any gripes with it.
Yeah, I didn't have gripes, but I just didn't see it necessary.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, the same thing I feel about the farm planet in the first 3 episodes. That whole sequence, other than killing off that one character, didn't really have a part in the whole thing.
We've now seen enough to know that B2 Emo is gone.
Yeah.
That's just a character that's just gone.
Oh, he's absolutely gone.
He's just gone. He's never going to be seen again.
Yeah.
Which is shocking to me.
Yeah.
It floors me because I actually really like B. B was one of my favorite characters.
Like, I would rather have had those 3 being on Yavin.
Yeah.
And him still being alive and just being like, I'm just like, do the Rose, I'm doing quotation marks, they did in episode 9 where it's like, you're just part of the resistance, go off and do something else.
Yeah.
But he's still alive.
Yeah, he's still around. He's still here.
Yeah.
No, it makes me a little crazy. Those first 3 episodes make me extremely crazy.
Oh, they're so bad.
It really is just shocking.
Yeah.
Looking at the rest of the series and then going back and looking at those 3 episodes.
Especially they are really setting up that these last 3 are going to be insane.
They're going to be tight.
really awesome.
It's going to be tight.
Yeah.
And so I'm both in terms of action, but also in terms of time.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I'm curious to see how long they're going to be.
I am too.
Because like the last one, they could easily do a 2-hour movie pretty much.
Yeah. Well, like, so this is the thing, is that I end up with this moment of conflict because by episode 4, we get the reveal of what the season is.
Yes.
And it's that every 3 episodes, you get a year jump.
Yep. Which we kind of knew about. We heard there was a time jump.
Well, we heard there was a time jump.
Oh, that's right. We didn't know there were 3 time jumps.
We didn't know that there was going to be time jumps. There's another one coming.
Yes.
Next week is going to be another time jump. Because every 3 episodes, there is a year time jump. And I've been thinking about this all day because it makes me so mad. Because if there was one thing that I really had to complain about with this show, beyond the first 3 episodes, it's the use of the time jump as a crutch.
Yeah.
It becomes it feels so much like the last season of Game of Thrones, where they're like, oh, we got to tell all this story right now. And all the fans are like, I mean, but do you have to? You could take time. This is really good and we're enjoying it. So you don't need to rush. And they're like, no. We got to get it all done right now.
Here's the only thing I'm wondering about that, though. The Game of Thrones is because the showrunners wanted to go make another project, so
right.
They wanted to get it
They
done.
ironically wanted to make a Star Wars that will never be made. So Game of Thrones was destroyed for a Star Wars that will never be.
But like, I think this one very likely was Disney saying, listen, the first season wasn't a success. We will give you one more season. Try to finish up your story. And so to them, they're like, fuck, how can we do this?
How can we do that?
That's the only thing I could think.
But it becomes so frustrating because there's moments with characters where you're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I don't understand the context of what you're talking about right now. It doesn't make any sense to me what you're implying. And so you get like Vel joins the Gormans after Andor says, we're not doing this. And Luthen is like, no, we're going to do this. So he sends Vel to do it. Yeah. And then her girlfriend Cinta is there at Vel's request. And now they're a couple, and Cinta really actually wants to be a couple. And we finally get a anti-Chinese lesbian kiss. Thank God. Yeah. Finally. I'm so tired of Disney being like, we can't show gay stuff. You can. You absolutely can. You can just suck it
And
up.
it was a sweet scene.
It was a great scene.
Very sweet scene.
And then, of course, Cinta dies.
Dies right away.
Like, right away. But I'm like looking at this and I'm like, okay, I can kind of piece together because we saw these characters last year and you're kind of piecing everything together. When we see Vel next time, I'm like, what is going on?
She's like running the armory for the
She's
Resistance.
She's a smuggler on Yavin. I'm like, what's all this then? Where did this come from? And Willman is talking about how Luthen is not only on the outs, but doesn't want there to be multiple new unknown groups joining the rebellion. And I'm like, that was Luthen's like whole thing. Yeah. Was that he wanted to unite the entire rebellion together. That was his whole thing. So why are you now talking about how Luthen has this job for Andor, which he doesn't want, and how Luthen isn't welcome on Yavin 4 because he doesn't agree with how the rebels are doing things? I'm like, this was his whole thing. Yeah. The whole thing was this. And I realized the thing that made me crazy was we needed the guy from Gold Squadron to actually meet Andor for the first time. Because I swear to God, every time this guy shows up, either here or in Rogue One when he tells Andor to go and kill fucking what's his nuts, the designer of the Mads Mikkelsen. Yes. I'm always like, who is this guy? Yeah. I'm always like, who is this guy? Why is he telling us what to do? Is he his boss? Who is this guy? Have him, when he is out and done with Luthen, have him meet the head of Gold Squadron. Just so that there's that connective tissue. Yeah. So that when we see him on Yavin, when we see Andor on Yavin, we have more of an understanding of how we got from point A to point B. Because that only happened 8 months ago. That didn't happen a full year ago, so we didn't get to see it. And I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me, man. You're killing me with this shit. Because I'm looking at so many storylines that are just getting cast off and thrown away. The redhead with the mustache that was in the Imperial ISB. Oh, yeah. Where's he? He's gone. He's gone. Did he die sometime in the last 2 years? I don't know, because we don't know all the details of what happened over the last 2 years, which also means when characters say cryptic things, I'm like, why do you feel that way? Yeah. I don't understand what got us to this point. I was so excited. Bix had her redemption arc. She killed the torturer. It was so great.
And then they blew the building
blew
up.
the entire building up. Such a fucking great scene.
Yeah, then the next time you see them, they're living in a treehouse.
In a treehouse. And I'm like, what the? And the base is barely constructed. I'm like, there's supposed to be an entire rebel base here.
Dude, they got a sweet little house, too. That is
a nice house.
That's a fucking...
It's good digs.
Yeah, it is.
But I was just left being like, I feel so betrayed.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think you were gonna. I was looking at Willman joining Saw's team and kind of being radicalized, and I was looking at all the stuff with Gorman starting to rise, and I was like, oh, so we're not going to do any more year skips because this stuff is too important for us to jump over. No.
Nope.
We're going to skip all of it and just see the end result of all of those things. And I'm just left being like, okay. But I now have to grade you down for so many things. I never thought I would say this. I really like Cyril's storyline in episode 8. I think it's really good.
Well, that's the thing. Is he... That's the okay, so let's go to 7, 8, and 9.
7, 8, 9.
So 7 is pretty much just a build-up of what's-her-face. Deidre is now on Gorman, and they're starting to build up their plan.
And pointedly, something has happened, both in Deidre's and Cyril's relationship, but also in terms of Deidre and Cyril's relationship to the Empire.
Yes.
Because both of them are suddenly extremely squeamish about what's going on.
Yes.
And kind of at odds with each other and don't trust each other. And I'm like, this was the moment I was like, so you're breaking me over your knee Bane style. What the fuck is going on? Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I cared about these characters. I wanted them written out of the show. There's a very real part of me that wishes that all of Cyril's stuff from after his first failure on Ferrix, all the way through to when he encounters Andor in that restaurant. I want all of the Cyril stuff scrubbed away and replaced with other stuff, and then we can just devote an entire episode to Cyril and just get it all done at once, and get all of the dinners with his mom done all at once, and get his promotions all done all at once, and just rip the whole Band-Aid off, and then it elevates to this point where he confronts Andor, and then...
Dude, well, that's the thing. See, this is what I was going to say, because listening to how you've described them, I don't think you liked 8 and 9 as much as I did.
I really, really liked 8. I liked 9 a lot. I just had some gripes with it.
See, 8 and 9 were my Dumb and Dumber moment, where I said, just when I thought you couldn't do anything stupider,
you pulled me back in.
You totally redeemed yourself.
Yeah.
That was 8. Like, 8... At first, I didn't know how to feel about it, and I appreciate it now that it was just all about the build-up to the Gorman massacre. And they didn't go to any other storylines.
Yes.
They didn't go to anywhere else.
Just that.
And the tension build was amazing in that episode.
Episode 8 is a masterclass of storytelling.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
It's really good.
And Cyril... Just as he's getting good, they shoot him in the fucking head.
Which I celebrated. I was so happy.
I knew you would.
I was so happy.
I knew you would.
When they shot him in the head, I was like, he's fucking dead. I paused the show. I turned to Kelly. He's fucking dead. I never have to see his stupid face or deal with his stupid mom or his stupid girlfriend or his stupid cubicle. I never have to deal with any of this shit ever again.
But what I loved, and I was listening to a review of this episode online today, and I totally agree with this reviewer. They had the balls to do something that not a lot of companies, including Disney, would do nowadays. And it's Cyril, and I do believe this, he's just an idiot and a baby and didn't quite understand what the Empire was doing.
Yeah.
And then when he witnessed the massacre is when he grabs her by the throat and like loses his shit.
Well, he does that. This was my point. This was my point of conflict. That happens before the massacre.
That's right. But he knows what's coming, though.
Well, he knows something is happening.
He knows,
but he doesn't know what's happening. And he's upset that the job that he thought he was doing was, in fact, something else. And I'm like, dude, you work for the Empire.
Yeah.
What did you think was going to happen here?
But, this is, I thought about this. I think he was so into his own mind thinking the Empire was like this force of good. And they, even though they want to control things, they're going to do it in the proper way. And then knowing that they're just going to set these people up to slaughter them, he kind of was like, because you could see it, especially when he runs into the leader of the resistance. Mm-hmm. And that guy's like, you fucking, like, he loses his shit on him. And he's like, I'm kind of getting this, like, you see him kind of coming to the realization, and when he fucking grabs her by the throat, I was like, holy shit!
That was a great moment. No,
dude, that was unbelievable.
It was just the fact that both of them were like, wait, am I the bad guy?
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you can't have... Listen, I know drinking the Kool-Aid and everything, man, but, like, there had to have been some moment in your time that you were like, am I not the hero of this story? Am I the villain?
I don't know if they didn't think they were the hero, but they didn't think they were a genocidal group of people.
And that to me is crazy. That I don't know.
I agree. I think that's them being, and once again, we hated these two characters in their whole storyline.
Yeah.
So to me, him getting shot in the head is the build up to that one scene. I'm not going to say all their storylines were worth it.
No.
But that one scene was a small payoff because it was such a powerful scene.
Well, and I think...
Because you can see that she... At first you think that he's just her pawn. Or she's just his... Or yeah, he's just her pawn. But when he leaves, you can tell that she actually cares for him.
Well, she doesn't even realize how much she cared for him.
Yeah, exactly. Until he's like, fucking have a good life.
She tries to make out with him to try and get him to calm down.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
I'm out of here. I don't know what the fuck this is.
That whole storyline, that whole part was fucking awesome.
No, and similarly, in terms of things that I didn't like, but then I kind of look and I'm like, it does help with the payoff. Having that year skip does help with the Gorman rise.
Yes.
It allows us to skip over the rise of this thing.
Yep.
I think at the end of the day, my issue is just like, I wish you had separated it into 6-month gaps. So that we could have gotten a little bit more progression from point A to point B.
I see what you're doing.
Instead of being like, okay, here's point A, and now you know how these stories go, so just pick it up at point B. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but I do kind of, like, there are moments where I really wanted to see how Cyril fell out with the rebels. When the rebels are slapping him and throwing him away, I'm like, I want to kind of know what happened here. And when he is having this moment, I'm like, there's no way you could have known. Yeah. Like, in all the time you worked for the Empire, there's no way you could have known that something was going on. Yeah. And same with Deirdre, because she especially is at an even higher level. Yeah. There's no excuse for her to be like, are we the bad guys? Like, how did you not... The moment where you're like, oh, we are going to have to mine out the planet, that was always the plan. Yeah. That was always the plan. Why are you getting cold feet now? That was always what was going to happen.
The only thing I would say is I think she knew what was going to happen, but wasn't prepared.
She didn't actually realize.
It's like she didn't, like, she goes, yeah, we might kill some people, but then when she actually sees it
and is responsible for
it fucking destroys it.
Yeah.
Like, that's, I got to give her credit. That scene where she's having the breakdown
in the room alone.
Fucking
where
awesome.
She's like grabbing at her collar.
And like her hands shaking and she's trying to pull at her uniform to straighten it. I'm like, that's fucking good shit right there.
Yeah.
But that whole... What I give these last 2 episodes credit for is they do the one thing that prequels never do, is I know characters are going to survive, but I was still on the edge of my seat. Like, how is Andor going to get out of this shit? Like, him just fucking, like, that scene of the massacre is fucking unbelievable.
It's incredible. And
it's
like,
incredible.
You get introduced to all these characters who you don't really know, but you do care about.
Yes.
And so,
they get
like,
fucking murdered.
And they almost all die. Like the guy in the hotel. He's such a great character, and he gives us the line that is then passed on to Jyn Erso so she can say it over the radio of rebellions are built on hope. Yep. And there were some seriously great moments in the show where I was like, there we go. There you are, Peter. Yes. It's like in Hook when they have to squish his face.
Exactly.
There you are, Peter.
This is the show we were waiting for.
Yes, this was what I wanted. Yes. This is what
I saw it in 4 through 6, and now we're getting a lot of it.
And even other things where, like, there had been previous mentions of Gorman and a attack on Gorman that had stoked the rebellion, and of Mon Mothma escaping the Senate. Yes. And so there is a little light retconning, but they still assess that. Yeah. Which is so huge to me, because that is such an important element that that's always overshown by, like, a Marvel type. Yes. Of just, like, it is important to reference there was a thing with Grand Moff Tarkin, but then there's also going to be this thing. Yeah. And so, yes, canonically, but also, yes, this. Yes. And with Mon Mothma, where, like, in other things, they say that she was rescued by Gold Squadron. Well, that wasn't what we wrote. So now we got to come up with something, but we're at least going to allude to it. Yes. So that it doesn't sound weird when you look at it later on, like Han Solo saying, folky religions, man.
Yeah.
And you're like, folky religions from 20 years ago? I don't think it's been burned off of everybody's mind.
Exactly. No, but and I gotta say, I watched it a second time. That's another reason why I'm really tired. I watched episode 8 2 times. 9 I watched once. I had to watch 8 a second time because I couldn't quite.
It's complicated.
It is one of the best episodes. It's one of the best things Star Wars has ever done because it shows you, and I've heard this described also. It shows you what the Empire, because like the Empire in the Star Wars movies is almost cartoonish. Mm-hmm. This shows you what the Empire would look like if it was a real fucking thing.
Well, I've said this before on the show. Previously, we didn't know what the Empire had done.
Yeah.
We were just introduced to the rebels, and we were told the rebels are the good guys, the Empire are the bad guys. And we were like, okay.
Yeah.
But when in the 90s, when people would discuss, like, what do you think the Empire actually did?
Yeah.
There wasn't, like, a grand wealth of information on that from a canonical source. There was the expanded universe, but that's always one of those, like, is it real? Is it not real?
Yeah.
Where's the line? Did George give the okay on this? Because unless it came from George's lips, it doesn't count. And so I like that we actually get to see what makes the Empire evil.
And it's what we discussed earlier that we hated about modern things. It used primarily practical effects, not the robots, of course, but everything else was primarily practical effects. It was excellent writing, excellent structure. The directing was great, and it was the right way to do a slow build.
Yes.
Because you know what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And the tension, because you don't know when, and you see the different things, and they talk about, the leader of the resistance realizes it's a trap and tries to stop people, but he can't stop them.
Yeah. Well, Andor is sitting there on the phone with his guy being like, do not have people come here.
Yes.
This is going to get bad.
Yes.
Tell me what the rebels are doing right now, what the resistance is doing right now, because if they're coming here, you need to stop them.
Yeah.
This is going to get so bad.
What does
so
he say?
fast.
They're not opening up the thing. They're building a fortress.
They're building a fortress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is so fucking good. And then we kind of alluded to it. The fight between Cyril and Andor. It's like Cyril took out all of his anger and frustrations when he sees Andor's face.
That was what I kept on having to say, because I kept on telling myself, Andor, you're not going to lose to this desk jockey, are you? But when you think about it, this is Cyril's full culmination of his character.
And we always said he's kind of a psychopath. And
He's a full psychopath.
This was him going full psycho. And it was an awesome fight scene.
It was great.
And then he gets shot in the fucking head, which is awesome.
Well, you have the great moment where he's standing over Andor, and Andor's like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah, he doesn't and
Cyril's like, I've done all this for nothing. Bam!
And that's the best part, is that's an even bigger slap in the face of Cyril's character, and I love it.
It's like, was this the payoff? Did you make me hate this character so when you killed him, it was like the super Joffrey of like, oh, not only is he dead, he gets to realize that his entire life's pursuit were pointless.
And the first, 7 episodes of this series, Cyril and Deidre's main thing is finding Andor and killing him. He has no idea who the fuck he is.
Doesn't know who they are.
And I love that
Couldn't care less.
much.
No, I did really love that scene.
best.
And I love that it's the resistance leader who shoots him ultimately.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm like, this is great. This is what we came to this show for.
Yes, it was so fucking good.
And then 9, I think, does a similar thing, but on a more political scale.
Yes, I do. It took me a while to get used to Benjamin Bratt instead of Jimmy Smits.
I wanted to bring this up because I'm annoyed about it. Did you hear why?
No, I didn't hear why.
Because this was the line where Disney said, ugh, budget reasons, just get Benjamin Bratt. It was too expensive to wait for Jimmy Smits' schedule to open up so that they could include him. He's been the character for 20 years.
Yeah.
And they couldn't wait for his schedule to open up because it would be too expensive to bring him back.
Oh, my God. Especially, he's in
the prequels.
He's in Rogue One, too.
He's in all... He literally, up into episode 4,
yeah,
it's always been Jimmy Smits. The entire time.
And he's in Obi-Wan?
Yes, literally the whole time.
Yeah, that's nuts. And now, mind you, I love Benjamin Bratt.
He's fine.
It's just,
How can you not notice?
And listen, I'm not going to lie. I kind of like him better as the character.
I like the suaveness that Jimmy Smits brings. He
does have a suaveness, but Benjamin Bratt has like a little bit more of a seriousness that I like. That I guess his take on the character fits more in this series
Okay, I can see that.
But it still was a little weird.
It just really bugs me that this was the reason.
Yeah, it was just weird.
That it's just like, oh, we only have the volume for like 3 days next week, and Jimmy Smits isn't available for 6 months, so I guess recast him as Benjamin Bratt. He's been the character for 20 years consistently, but like...
And it also makes me wonder, it's like, do they have just Benjamin Bratt and retainer because of that one scene he did in fucking... Doctor Strange.
I'm really sure that they have Alan Tudyk on retainer.
Oh yeah,
I'm absolutely certain.
See, I loved this episode because once again, this episode gave us Andor.
Yes,
where he's just like, and this is what we were talking about, how he's trying to save Mon Mothma. And he shoots people in front of her, and she's like, "I can't believe you shot them."
I can't believe you did that.
This is the fucking resistance, not the politics you were doing. This is the fucking and that was the fucking take away all the wedding. That is the scene to show her the difference between what she's been doing and the resistance.
The moment he's rushing her down the hallway, and she's like, "I don't know if I can do this," and he's like, "Welcome to the rebellion."
Yeah.
This is what we've all been doing the whole time. While you've been up in your ivory tower, this is what we've been doing.
And that reminded me of Stellan Skarsgård's in the first season, where he was saying to the guy, "I've given away everything. I've done everything."
Yeah.
That was kind of like this debate. It's like, dude, you don't understand what we've given up. So.
Yeah. No, that was so great. My only complaint with this episode was that I would have liked to have seen them actually get out of the building. There's a lot of scenes of them rushing through hallways. Yeah. And then it cuts to them on a mezzanine. And I'm like, no. The Empire is locking down the entire building. You're gonna need to show me them crawling through an air vent or something.
And once again, this is me making excuses for I agree with you. Mm-hmm. She said she's been in that building since she was a kid.
Yes.
So to me, that says she knows things that maybe even the Empire doesn't know.
And instead of showing us delinquents on a planet...
Because they were going down the stairs and then all of a sudden they're outside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like instead of showing us delinquents on a planet arguing, maybe show us them finding Mon Mothma's secret hidden back door for the Senate so that, it makes sense when they suddenly appear outside. Because it's just like, it's basic filmmaking, man. Like, you gotta do it. I don't care. You gotta do it. In the same way that a lot of the stuff with Cyril and Dedra is not earned to me because you had that year skip. So now you can just say, oh, their characters are just this way now. Yeah. I'm like, well, then I can't give you credit for how their characters are because I didn't see that progression. You just skipped to it, man. That doesn't count.
And I do especially love, this is going to make me sound like a psycho, when Andor shoots the limo driver.
I was about to bring this up. It's so good.
It really seemed like the limo driver was concerned about her, was going to turn.
He was going to flip.
And all she said to him is, he's a plant, and he just shoots him.
She says he's an ISB agent, and he says, what's his name? Like, Casso. Hey, Casso, we found her. Who are you? Bam!
Bam! Dude, I was like, that's the Andor who shoots a guy in the back in the beginning of Rogue One.
I'm really hoping that the last episode of Andor is him getting the mission to meet that guy.
It's gotta be.
I'm really hoping that's what happens.
These last two episodes, I can't wait for these last three. Like, that's what I give these 8 and 9 especially credit for. They took me from a series that I at one point we talked about maybe not watching.
It was on the Halo scale.
I cannot fucking wait for these last three.
Yeah. No, and even stuff like the Force Healer feels more organic to Star Wars than anything from the Acolyte did.
It actually reminded me of Donnie Yeo's character. Yeah. Like, he didn't have the Force, but she almost felt like she was Force sensitive. Like,
she's Force sensitive, but not trained to be a Jedi.
Exactly.
Because this is the thing. This is if the Acolyte wanted to explore the other realms of the Force, you didn't need to have it be that the Jedi are inherently evil and the dark side is actually the good side. What you can do, and they do this in Rebels, they do this on other stuff, is explore the way the Force is used and felt in other realms, away from the Jedi and the dark side. So you have, like, how do animals interact with the Force? Yeah. How do people who are Force sensitive but never get trained by the Jedi interact with the Force? It's like, there's stuff here to do if you want to explore that minutia of, like, are the Jedis too strict? Are the Jedis part of a cult? But, like, do it better than that, because in that one moment with the Force Healer, I was like, wow, this is more like Star Wars than anything in the Acolyte was. Just her being like, I can tell you're going to be important.
Yeah.
and I love Bix's reaction, where she's like, I gotta leave. And she says, I'm going to find you. I'm like, you're never going to see him again.
Yep.
That was the last time you saw him. You will never see him again unless you find his charred corpse.
Yeah.
At the center of whatever that planet was after it blew up. But like, no, you're never going to see him again.
Yeah.
He's gone. He's gone forever. And it also answers why there's kind of this weird romance between him and Jin.
Yep.
Where I was like, well, but if you have Bix, why are you doing this thing with Jin?
And that will be one of the only reasons like that year jump they're going to do because he spent a year now away from Bix.
Now he's going to have been away. Well, and like this is another thing. Among the many things I've realized while contemplating this, because I was furious. Kelly said, what if they do another year skip at the beginning of episode 7? I was like, they wouldn't. They can't. How could they? There's so much going on.
Yeah.
And then they do. And so I was furious about this for a long time. It took me a while to cool off. And I've been thinking about it all day, trying to come to terms with it, because I do believe that it is a cheat and that you're cheating your way out of it. The way I described it to Kelly is like, if I ever wrote a Spider-Man thing, I would have his internal monologue be a part of the story, because that is straight from the comics. I think all the best Spider-Man stories include his internal monologue as he's thinking about what's going on. If that became a crutch wherein I couldn't tell the story without his voiceover explaining what's going on, that's a problem, right? So when the thing that is helping you tell the story becomes this necessary evil, where it's like, oh, well, we can't tell the story unless we do year jumps. Tell me that at the top. You know, like the BBY thing, we finally figured out what it meant.
Yes.
You know what would have helped more? And I had this exact same thing with Rogue One. A fucking crawl! You know what could have helped? A fucking crawl that explains that the events we're about to see will take place over the course of X number of years.
Yeah.
And that there's going to be some jumping around and all these other things, because, well, like, I don't need to be hand-fed as an audience member. And some of the things I really like about Andor are the elements that they don't hand-feed you. I think those are great.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that does like that we don't know what Cyril's standing is with the revolutionaries until he is fully thrown out by them. But at the same time, I'm left with, like, oh, now I just want to know more about that situation.
Yeah. But that's true. If they would have done a crawl at the beginning of, like, episode 4, episode 7, episode 10,
just to tell us a little bit about what's going on.
The year, yeah,
that would have really helped and would have made it feel more organic.
Because I mean, that's how they did the time jump between the movies.
Yeah, exactly. And it's organic to Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's literally the only piece of media that gets to do this.
Yeah,
this is what I've always said about Rogue One, because Rogue One dropped the crawl, and I've always thought that was a catastrophic error on their part. That you are literally the only media that is allowed at the beginning of your thing to have a wall of text appear on screen, and people will cheer.
Yeah.
People will actively cheer for the
just
crawl.
as long as it doesn't say Palpatine survives.
Yeah.
Well,
listen, if the crawl itself is bad, that's another story.
Yeah, that's another story.
But just the action of having a crawl, I think, is inherent to Star Wars in a lot of ways. And it was only after Disney took over that Disney was like, but we don't need this, right? No, that was always part of it.
Kathleen fucking Kennedy.
That was always part of it.
Kathleen fucking
nobody
Kennedy.
else is allowed to have a crawl before their movie. Take the opportunity and use it to tell your story, because people are going to be involved if you use it. You know, I get it. We all got there.
Yeah.
But man, I'm frustrated by some of the decisions made here. It just doesn't feel connected.
Yeah.
Like I said before, it feels so rushed. And I think you're right. I think this was Disney giving them a timeline, and then the writer saying, well, we're not going to change the story we're going to tell. We're just going to condense it.
Yeah.
But
because as great as the first season was, it did not get a lot of fan support, which blows my mind.
It was, at the time, and my understanding, in Star Wars circles, it was seen as the best thing since Mandalorian. Yeah. But in terms of public opinion, it was just kind of like another Star Wars.
Yeah.
But it's so important because the way that adaptation is done here is so intrinsic to how adaptation should be done.
Yes.
In a lot of ways. There is a level of reflection on everything that came beforehand. There is a give and take of, we're going to do our own thing, but we also acknowledge this, and this. And that's so fucking important.
Yeah.
That's so fucking important. I just wish you had taken a little more care in the structure of this. Absolutely go through those first 3 episodes, maybe gut them completely and rewrite them, or just take them, have episode 4 be episode 1, and then take that time and use it within the body of the story to tell a more fulfilling story. Because if it was every 6 months instead of every year, I just feel like there would be a deeper level of connection to what's going on.
And you're right. That's the thing that makes the first 3 episodes, like these last 6 episodes, make those first 3 under a magnifying glass look so much worse.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
It's funny how you go from them being just terrible to episode 8 is the kind of TV show. It's kind of like episode 3 of The Last of Us season 1. Mm-hmm. I'll never forget that. And I will think about that episode for years to come.
Yeah.
Because it was so fucking good. And that's following a group of episodes that were so fucking bad that even if I rewatch this season, I will know to start at episode 4.
Yeah.
I will not watch those first 3.
You literally shouldn't watch them.
No.
There is nothing important
not at
that
all.
happens in those episodes. You don't need to have the Empire say, this is what we're going to do to rouse, hate for the Gormans. I didn't need to sit down the Holiday Inn Express
oh my God,
and be told that whole thing.
The worst fucking
like,
thing.
I didn't need any of that. You can literally skip all of that and not feel like you've missed anything because none of it's important. I will say one of the things that deeply bothered me about these episodes, and this again goes back to what we've been talking about, although this is an incredibly prescient series at the moment, I didn't need there to be a Fox News in Star Wars. I didn't need that.
Yeah.
I didn't need reporters on hand. I didn't need our great leader does this. I didn't need all this other stuff. You could have done that in a different way. There's literally never been a news anchor in Star Wars.
Yeah. But see, this is the only reason I'm going to push back on that is they are coming from the light of this is what the reality of Star Wars is. Mm-hmm. And the way they are trying to push the narrative, I mean, unfortunately, it is similar to the real world right now, even though it seems like the real world is trying to follow what the Empire did.
Well, I would rather have
just the way the other politicians.
Oh, I get it. I totally see what they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm just annoyed by it because it does take me out of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Even if it was something like, I don't know, they had them on holograms, so that's something. Maybe if it was like droids passing out newsletters or something. I just needed something that made it not Fox News.
Yeah.
It was just so Fox News, and I was just like, I don't know, man. This is leaving a bad taste in my mouth.
See, I didn't see it as much Fox News as I saw it like Russian propaganda.
Mm-hmm. Like propaganda, that was the word I was looking for.
Propaganda, there you go. But like, which honestly, Fox News is turned into Russian propaganda. So
it's all propaganda.
It's the same thing. But I could see what you're saying, but I can understand the purpose for it in this story they're telling.
Oh, I absolutely get the purpose for it. It's just it was
again, overdone.
Well, it's just an element that I wish was done a little differently.
Yeah.
It's like I don't thoroughly disagree with anything from episode 4 on in terms of how the series is structured or built. I'm still very at odds with this whole year jump skip every time. Yeah. I don't like it. I think it's chintzy.
I hope we find out why.
I think it's really just a matter of Disney didn't want to shell out, or there was something that made it so that they didn't have as much time to tell the stories they thought they were going to have. And so they said, well, we're just going to do like the most important event of that year to our storyline.
Yeah.
And we're only going to cover those events, and then we're going to skip everything else, but all the characters are still going to make references to everything else that's been happening. I'm like, I don't know, man. I just don't think that this is a great way to win your audience over. I never feel like I know what's going on. I always feel like I'm catching up. And with everything that's going on, you don't really want to be like, okay, now what's happening? What's going on here? What's this? I want to be able to focus on the events as they're happening. I don't want to be like, okay, so what do you think happened that got Cyril thrown out of the revolutionary group? When do you think they realized that he was a double agent? Is he actually a double agent in their eyes, or is he just somebody they can't trust? I don't know. We're never going to know. And ultimately, I can't really complain because I've been complaining nonstop about Cyril this entire time.
Yeah.
I call him Cyril Ficus.
Cyril Ficus.
Just like,
he'll always be Norman Bates to me, though.
Norman Bates, my God. I just...
And I real quick before we finish this, I do want to shout out, I appreciate right before the slaughter, they had TIE fighters fly overhead.
That was great.
And I'm like, they make you think they're just going to blast them from the sky. It's like, oh no, we're going to do it in your face, like shooting people in the chest, point blank range.
Well, and like I just love that it's this show of force by the Empire.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so one flies over, and then
and
two
I
fly
love that
over.
fucking colonel with the scar on his
Yeah.
face. Dude, why couldn't we have seen more of him these past...
Why wasn't he at the Holiday Inn Express?
Dude, why? He is fucking awesome.
I did find it really, really funny that after they find the recording device in Mon Mothma's office, they take it out, they break it, and then we get to see in the ISB the little monitor being like, oh, tap, tap, ah, and he brings in an IT person, and they're like, oh, it's not on our side. And I'm like, do you want to show urgency on this at all? Maybe you want to report to someone up the ladder that Mon Mothma's recording device seems to have malfunctioned in some capacity. I don't know. Seems like it could be important.
I'll be honest, that is the kind of little comedy thing I appreciate it, because I don't think it was meant to be funny, but it shows that even the Empire has like IT people that come in. I was like, that's kind of fucking
when
awesome.
She said it's not on our side, I was like, oh, I've had that day. I've had that day. But like, I don't know. There was also, I love the KX units. They don't shoot people.
Yeah.
They just hawk people.
Beat the shit out of them.
Like, they don't even hit people. They just pick them up and throw them away.
And when the first one kicked that concrete barrier and knocks that, I was like,
oh, that was a great shot. That was incredible.
They were terrifying.
Yeah, they're scary.
Yeah, I like them.
And it's just like, again...
And I think that was my first inkling that Cyril knew that something was going on. Because when he walked into that room and saw them, and the one was looking at him, he's like, what the fuck?
What is this?
I know what these things do.
Why is this here?
Yeah.
That's a good point. I hadn't really thought about that, but that's a really good point.
Because he knows they're there for one purpose.
He knows what they do.
Yeah.
They only have one mission.
Kill
they're like the
people.
Death Troopers in Mandalorian. There's only one thing that they do.
Dude. And just the one that kept looking at him.
Yeah.
That was fucking creepy as shit.
Which I think is the K2 from...
I think it was, yeah.
And which was also a fun little reveal at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
I love when the doctor's like, do you want goggles? And he's like, I'll take a blaster.
Yeah.
Or just grabs a giant rifle.
And I like how the guy wasn't going to give it to him at first. And he just kind of looks at him and he's like, all right, fucking...
Okay, I'll give you it. I'll give you it.
You know who the fuck I am, motherfucker?
And just like the countdown and 2 and Andor pumps the rifle and it winds up and everybody's like, oh shit, okay. So are we in danger?
I gotta say, if I have to, I'm gonna grade these as 3 episode chunks because that's how they're released. I would do FBA. That would be my grades.
I would say I'm probably very similar. I would say an F. I would say an A minus for the second set. And then purely because of just narrative discourse and conflict, I would drop them down to a B plus for the
so
7, 8, 9.
A minus B plus.
Gotcha. A minus B plus. I still think it's still a passing grade, but I do have a little red pen note.
Yeah.
Come see me after class.
I can see that.
We're gonna get coffee and talk about this.
But honestly, after those first 3 episodes, I never thought we would give the grades that we gave.
When you put it in we're going to have a Halo discussion.
Yeah.
About this. That is the ultimate when we won't watch it.
Yes. And it was close.
Reason. It was so close.
Dude, those last the 4, 5, and 6, they had a lot on their shoulders.
Oh my god. We literally put it off as long as possible.
Yes.
And then watched it. And I was just sitting there like, how are they gonna fuck this one up? And then it got better.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, the show got better. And Kelly was like,
it's 3 days until the next 3.
Yeah.
It's 15th.
Yeah.
So 3 days till the next 3 episodes drop.
And then my favorite was that Kelly was like asking me later, like, so are you gonna hate watch Andor? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Like, is it hate watch if I'm actually enjoying it? I don't know. Dude. And so just we have differences in terms of how we like narrative to be done.
Yeah.
I really think that this is a little messy, but at the same time, I can't sit here and be like, but you skipped this and you didn't do this. We got those answers. They're just, you have to dig for them a little bit.
You got to kind of come up on them.
Which, show not tell being the key thing about cinema, I got to give them credit for that.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Differences in terms of how we both approach it. I don't agree with it, but at the same time, I can't grade you too low for it. But those first 3 episodes, I can grade as low as possible.
Oh, I should do an I for incomplete. You don't even get a letter.
How was this?
So bad.
I just want to know. I just need to know. Yeah. I need to know everything about what happened.
But in actuality, if you think about it, other than that one death, you really don't need to watch those first 3. There's nothing.
Literally, there's nothing you need to see because Brasso is never brought up again, and B2 Emo is never brought up again, and so We don't need to see them.
And Mon Mothma's family's never brought up. The wedding's never brought up.
It's literally...
They barely bring up her friend who...
I was about to say, it's
Luthen
literally just that conversation between her and Luthen where she's like, do you remember Take Holma? And he's like, I don't fucking know who Take Holma is.
Yeah.
And that was it.
That was it.
That was the one moment.
And you could cut that fucking line.
Yeah. No, it made me crazy. I did, real quick, I did love the moment where they're at a party and they're going through the gallery. And I think this was episode 4 or 5.
When she was trying to
get the bug out of it. I was like, this is what I like about this show.
Yeah.
Even small, stupid scenes like this, I really like. Man, why can't we do more of this?
And for what you said earlier, that scene, one of the major players was the fucking redhead with the mustache. He was such an integral part of that whole thing.
And he's never seen again.
Because quite honestly, unbeknownst to him, he pretty much saved the rebellion by being able to answer
the question.
The question.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, holy shit.
And you had Krennic there roaming around. It felt like a video game scene.
It really did.
And it's just like, more of this, less of, you're going to tell them there's 15 of us? What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I hate that scene. I hate it
so fucking bad.
So much. When he landed on Jungle Planet, I was like, this could be good. And then that happened. I was like, oh boy.
Yeah. Oh my God. All right, folks. Well, that was Nerd Pod Generations, episode 160. Really hope you enjoyed it. Once again, we'll come back next week. We will hopefully be finishing off these last 3 episodes. I think there's nothing that's going to stop me from watching them.
No. Unless we have to postpone the show again for whatever reason.
Which I hope not. I'm going to keep taking my medicine. Hopefully everyone's healthy.
It's not just you. It's both of us have been guilty of having to kick the show. I call it punting. Yeah. Or, you know what we really should call it is just pulling a marble. Yeah. I'm just going to kick this off the can to later.
And see, folks, if you tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend, and we start making money doing this, then we can quit our fucking jobs, and you would get us twice a week.
Yes.
And we'll always have a show.
Dude, we would start an actual movie review channel.
Oh, my God.
Where we did movie reviews on a weekly basis for stuff that's coming out. We would do it.
Yep.
If we were professionals.
Yes. So just remember that. If you like what you're hearing, pay us, motherfuckers.
Please.
All right, so Nerd Pod Generations 160 is in the books. Al, who does our music and our artwork?
I will hawk MeUndies, Chubbies, anything that these... I'll do Manscaped.
Don't end the show by saying Chubbies.
I'll do... It's a real brand.
I know it is.
It's a real brand. I'll do Manscaped ads. I'm not above it, man. I'll do it.
You're a hairy boy. So.
I am a hairy boy. I got a funny anecdote about my first date with Kelly that I can use.
I don't need to know anything about that. No.
To get back to the point at hand, our art is by Kortney Howell. Our theme is by Brendan Williams and James Connolly. I am Alfred Jetsam.
I am Steve Taylor. Remember to go to nerdpodgen.com.
We're going to be back next week, and until then, friends and enemies, whatever you do with your time, it's your problem, not mine.
Just don't play with your chubby.
And see you later, folks.